Hi everyone, this is Lisa from Imposter Baker, and today I'm going to show you how to frost a fake cake. This is going to be part of a series that I'm doing for YouTube, and I have some other things coming, but I first wanted to show you how to do this. I will move my camera in just a moment so that you're seeing what I'm doing versus seeing me, but we're going to start with an 8-inch cake round. This is just a styrofoam round. You can get these at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, probably Amazon online. This one happens to be an 8-inch round that is 4 inches tall. I actually have some that are, I think, 2 inches tall. And so sometimes if I want my cake to be taller, I'll just use 2 of those, because sometimes you can find those cheaper places if you're or if you just find some at a garage sale or something like that, and just use what you have. You can glue them together, low temp hot glue or fast grab tacky glue, something like that. Just put them between and sandwich them together, and you can, build it taller. So let me just turn my camera. So I have a couple of things modification wise. Let me just show you. I wanted to quick say, always wear an apron. I have a number of old t-shirts that I wear because I'm really bad at putting an apron on, so I just have like some craft t-shirts that I wear that are too big and they're paint and everything on them, so don't mind how I look for that. It's just easier for me because I inevitably ruined many shirts by forgetting to put the apron on. So we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna show you this. This is going to be a little bit loud, but let me just pull this off from here. This is I'm sorry, that's loud. I shouldn't have pre-covered it. This is just a plastic cake turntable. And let me just angle this down a little bit so you can see what I got going here. So it's just a turntable. It's plastic. It's just a cheap one. You can get these a lot of different places. They make nicer ones. You can get the metal ones. I find that this works good enough for me, so I haven't worried about that. Normally, I would cover this with wax paper and then tape it down along the edges. For some reason, I'm either out of wax paper or I've left it somewhere that I can't find. So I'm using a piece of aluminum foil, which I'll see how this works. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it. It's just what I have, because for whatever reason I don't seem to have any wax paper around. I probably ran out and forgot to buy more. So we're just gonna like crinkle this. You want this to kind of be tight around the edges somewhat, because you want it to be like a base. Now the other thing you can do, if you feel confident in your crafting skills and your cake decorating skills, you can simply put this on a cake board. And let me see, do I have one right here to show you? I think I might have one just sitting over here. Hang on just a moment. Yes, I do. It's not the right size for this cake, but I can show you what you'd be looking for. And actually, this actually might even be the right size. So cake boards, you can find them in the bakery section. On one side, they're going to be white. The edge looks like that. And the bottom is just cardboard. So what you do is you would set your cake on here. You'd glue this down. For normal cakes, obviously you wouldn't glue it. But because we're making a fake cake, you would just position the center it. I would use something like, I particularly like this for a lot of my crafts. And I know that's this is probably backwards to you, but this is Eileen's Fast Grab Tacky Glue. I don't know if this dries completely clear, so it's not going to matter on a cake because you're going to decorate the edges. But if you're using that on stuff, don't let it ooze out because it might have a little bit of a whitish color to it. But I do like that. It's, it sticks pretty quick and you don't have to worry about your cake moving around. Now, because I'm not very good with my decorating skills, and it's my preference, I guess, to do it that way because I don't trust my decorating skills that well, and I find it easier to add the board later. Some people are really good and they just do it, they frost it, they put their edging on, and it looks beautiful. I'm not a good crafter that way. I have to do it the other way. So what I do, and I hope this is, let me get that just angle a little better, hopefully here. There we go. Okay. So what I do typically is I will put some looped tape on the bottom of this when I'm going to do other decorating. But, okay, so you can do this two ways. Let me say it this way. You can either tape this down and then hold it and decorate, okay? Or if you're like me, you put it in your hands and you're doing this and moving around, and then I mess up places and I decorate some more. So I'll just show you how I do it. I'm sure there's more ways to do that probably are easier, or, you know, maybe would work better for you. Everybody's different. So we're just going to go ahead and start. Now, again, normally, I think I've posted in another video, I'm going to use the one-time Red Devil, one-time lightweight spackle for this. Normally for cakes, I like the DAP lightweight spackle. This is just, you know, a lot thicker. It works great for cupcakes, mug toppers, and stuff like that because it is a thicker consistency. So when you add paint to it, you still have that thicker consistency and it doesn't fall on you. For cakes, I like that smoother DAP. I don't have any DAP right now, so I'm just going to use what I have because I don't have a ton left in this, and so I want to use it up. And then I'll have a fresh container after. So I'm just going to use up what I have. But if you're doing cakes and you prefer to do cakes, I would recommend the DAP lightweight spackling. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and open this. I've already got a container. These are just Dollar Tree containers. Walmart probably has them too, but they're, I think, $1.50 for a set of 2 at the Dollar Tree. So we're going to just open that up. I already have a little in here from something I was doing before, so we're just going to go ahead and add to that. We're also going to add some white paint. It does not have to be apple barrel. It does not have to be this size. You can use any acrylic paint. Buy the cheapest you can. You don't have to buy apple barrel. This just was a good deal when I got it. I think I paid $1.50 for this big bottle like a long time ago. So buy what's cheap. You don't need it to be fancy, but you do want to color your spackle. Spackle, I have found, even though it looks very white coming out, so see, this looks really nice and white, and I hope the lighting's pretty good in here. Even though it comes out nice and white, I have found over time that it will discolor and it will kind of get a yellowish tinge to it, and it looks very nasty. So just, that's my tip, to always, to any of the spackle, no matter how nice it looks, just add some white paint to it to make it look better. Okay, so we're gonna, see, this is actually getting a little bit crumbly, but you can see how, just for example, how the Red Devil looks. It is just a thicker consistency, and I'm just gonna, which there's nothing, I mean, that works really good for certain things, but for a cake, I would prefer it not be this thick. So let's go ahead and add our white paint in here. And I just, you know, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no measurements. Anyone, you kind of eyeball everything. There's no exact science to this. I'm sure that some people might have their very own exact type. You know, maybe they do so many scoops to so much paint or whatever. Just like I cook and bake, I do the same thing fake baking. I don't always follow a recipe measurements. I mean, I have a guideline. That's what I say in cooking too. I have a guideline. So we're just gonna mix this up. You want to mix it. You want to get it all smoothed out. You want it to look like the consistency of frosting. So see how that looks so nice and creamy? And if you didn't know better, you would think it was real frosting. It doesn't smell that way. I can tell you that. It does not smell good. In fact, I have my patio door open today. It's only about 50 degrees outside right now, but it's warm enough for me to get these cakes frosted today and have some air circulation throughout the house. I just turned my heat off, and it's going to be a little chilly in here, but I like to air my house out. If you had a place outside to do this, I'd probably recommend it. I'd also probably recommend that you wear a mask and gloves if you're really smart. If you read the ingredients on here, and it says, you know, it has warnings on the label. So I would say take heed of those warnings and use precautions. I should be, I should. I should, and I recommend that you do. Okay, so, all right, so that's looking pretty good to me. You could add a little more paint if you wanted to. I think I'm just gonna let this be. And I am using also a silicone spatula. This just came from the dollar store. Never, ever, ever use anything that you use in fake baking or crafting for food again. I mean, it is strictly now fake baking. This cake stand, even if I cover it all the time, it's never going to get used for real food. Or this cake decorating turntable. Never ever use anything that you use or reuse it in your kitchen for anything. Do not rinse this down your drain. Do not rinse your utensils down your drain. I'm going to show you, and I showed you in another video, and I'll just say it now. I use baby wipes to clean up all my stuff. I don't put it down my drain. I don't put it outside. And I have shared that before, and I'll keep sharing it and keep saying it. But do not. This hardens, and you don't want it down your drain. Okay, so that being said, all the warnings aside, and I try to probably give you warnings each time, but hopefully you've seen some of my other videos, and I know I don't want to harp on it too much. So again, if you haven't watched the other videos, this is just some unscented baby wipes. This happens to be Sam's Club brand, just because I was able to buy it in bulk and Walmart was out. I'm just cleaning up my surface a little bit. I don't like a messy work surface, even though if you see around here, it looks pretty messy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take our stand, and we're gonna take our spackle. There's two ways you can do this. So you can use your spatula if you feel like you have enough control. I have different sizes of these. I have a small one, I have a big one. I also have one shaped like this. That I think I'm going to try out on this. The other thing you can use, you don't have to buy any of these. You can just use a popsicle stick. I get the little bit bigger ones, or they're called jumbo, and that works perfectly well. I like the silicone just a little bit more because as you're using the popsicle stick, you might notice like some lines or grainy lines, and then you have to kind of go back over it a little bit. It takes a little bit more time, but if you're starting out, just get some popsicle sticks. Don't worry about it. You don't need to. You can go to the dollar store, get you some of those, or Hobby Lobby, any place like that. Don't pay a lot. Make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one for decorating the cake. And the way I'm going to start is I typically hold my cake. As I said, you can put some tape, loop some tape, and put it to the bottom, put it here, and then kind of hold it and go around. And that's probably a wise way to do it. I'm gonna do it a little bit two different ways, you'll see here. The other thing you can do, and I used to do, is I would cut a piece of square cardboard and cover that square or round cardboard, kind of like what you would have like for this, but I didn't use these good ones because I didn't want to ruin them. I'd cover that with wax paper, tape this down, put it on top of here so I could turn it, but then I could move the whole thing off from the base when I was done, which is also helpful. Then you don't have it stuck on here, but if you're only doing one, it's not going to really matter too much. And I actually might grab one of those because I think that would help. Let me see if I have one. I do not have one right here, so we won't worry about that right now. Okay, so you're just going to start, and you're going to just put it on You know, you're just gonna rub it on here, just like you were frosting an actual cake. You're just gonna slather it on. Now, you want this on thick enough that it's covering your styrofoam, but you don't want it excessively thick, because I have found if you do it really thick, it will crack a little bit. So I've had them crack in the past when I first started out. So just kind of, you're just going to move it on to the thing. Scrape your bottom, because you don't want it on the bottom of the cake. And you're just going to use that motion. So you can kind of just coat it first, you know, just kind of get a nice little coating to stick to that styrofoam, because it's not going to naturally want to stick to that styrofoam right away. And here I've got, see how I've got this little tiny bit of something in there? I'll pull that out of there, wipe that off. Sometimes little stuff is in the spackle. I'm not sure what it is, but there's another one. Let me just grab that one out. I don't know if you can see this right here. It's just like a little piece of dark something. And then I'm just wiping that on a piece of baby wipe. So you're gonna wanna go to the top, okay? And then I like to get the edge on the very top, just like this, kind of coat it up there. So you have this little bit of coating, because as you drag the spackle up, it'll stick to that, because you want that edge covered. So I will go along, oops, and just kind of do my spackle right along that edge. Okay, so just like that. So you have this little edge. So when you're bringing your spackle up, as you're frosting it up there, it's kind of leaving a, see how it's covering. You know, you want it to cover that spot so you're not missing the edges. I can see where I'm a little thin right here. So just kind of watch. It's a little bit more difficult when you're doing white on white. If you're doing any other color on the white styrofoam, you'll clearly see the white styrofoam. But when you're doing it this way, and especially if you're like me and you wear bifocals and you know, all kinds of things, you're gonna want to take a look at that, make sure. So I'm just kind of putting it on here. Same for your bottom edge. Now your bottom edge, if you're going to put a border on it, your bottom edge isn't going to matter as much. You do want it to come down. You want it to cover that edge. But if you decide later on, like, oh, I'm not going to put an edge on this cake. I know that I am on this one. Make sure you get it nice and covered. Okay, so then you're just going to just go back and forth, just like if you were frosting a actual cake. I'm going to turn my hands, and I'm just going to pull my hands this way. I'm going to frost that little edge again. I'm going to pull some of the spackle over, because I got it kind of thick right there. And as you go around, again, those little spots of, I don't know what that is. Something in the spackle, I think. But okay, and then you're just kind of checking your top edge again. I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit. And it looks like it's all matching up. So basically, you're making that little edge again, just so that it's, you know, your top and your side meet. You don't want an empty spot. Okay, so let me go ahead and gonna smooth it on. Now you can do this, you can do big strokes if you want like that. If you want it more smooth, you can do that. You can go back around, and you know, it's gonna be a little while before this dries, so you have a little bit of time to play with it. So if you wanted it more smooth, you can smooth it out. You can use an icing smoother. You can do all kinds of things. This particular cake, I want it to have a little bit of texture, a little bit of, kind of a homemade look. And again, I keep getting those little things, y'all. Okay, there we go. Little pieces of something. Okay, so I'm gonna go back around, because I do want this to have a little bit more of a homemade look. Again, I'm just checking my top edge. right here, checking that, and then I'm gonna just kind of fix the edge. Basically, you've got to kind of go back and forth. You're doing the top a little bit and making sure you have it up there. Then you want to make sure your edge is meeting. And then if you go back over it, just kind of watch your top and bottom edges as you're doing it, as you're going around. Okay, so I'm going to take a look. I'm going to set this down for a second. Now, I will tell you, as soon as you sit this down, I don't know, I kind of like that look. So let me show you. Let me give you a little close-up of that. So I kind of like how this is looking here. And you can see how it looks a little more like homemade frosting there. For my project that I'm working on, I don't know, I'm torn. I like both. So let me just slide this. So what I did was I just slid this to the edge and picked it back up. Now you will see that on my board here I have, or my cake table, I've made a mess on it, and that's what happens. It's basically inevitable. You are going to make a little bit of a mess if you're picking it up and down. And I'm going to just go back because I see where I think I just got it. I was missing a spot where I had some speckle. A speckle missing. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and continue on, and we're going to pull that spackle around, and you'll probably hear me call spackle frosting. It's something you just start doing because you're our fake frosting. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to turn this. So I've got about 2/3 of it done. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this around the rest of my top and get that little bit on there. So I'm leaving the top of it empty so I can use my hands to turn it. You'll see spots where you kind of, you know, maybe have the spackle kind of glopped, or you don't like how it looks or something as you do this. So just take your time, go around. Again, you can frost just like this. You can, it's hard to kind of show you the side I'm doing, and but you can, you know, frost it like this. I'm not very good at it that way, but you can use it and go around. I mean, you'd have to work right in front of you where you're working so you can see, but you can do it that way. I'm not too worried about this getting on the bottom of my cake because it's not going to be seen anyways. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and just keep on going along here, just kind of watching for thin spots, making sure you're getting your bottom edge too, and it's all blending in, because if sometimes I'll have some pre-prepped cake bases and I don't know what I'm doing with them, so I always make sure that I do my bottom edge, unless I absolutely am like, I'm making it specifically for this project right now. But these take some time to dry. You are going to want to give your spackle, I would say, a day or two to dry before you add the next step, and several days or more. So I'd say like 7, probably 10 to 14 days, especially the thicker it is, the longer it takes to dry. And so those, when you're doing the edges, if you're decorating the edges, piping it, that's thicker. So you'll need more time for that to dry. And it's absolutely, if you're making these to sell, you want to make sure that your product is fully dry before you ship it and send it on to your customer. Okay, so I just need a little bit more, and we're about at the final spot here. All right, and then kind of what I do is just wipe that. So I'm just wiping that back into the container. And I did close my other container because you want to make sure your spackle doesn't dry out. It does take some time, but because I'm messing with this and mixing it, you might, if you're slower at it at first, I used to always cover my spackle up because it took me longer in between times that I was pulling stuff out of the bag or the container. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and look all the way around my cake now. I want to just check it to see, have I missed any spots? Are there any thin spots? And I'm just going to add a little bit of spackling in here where I've maybe, it just doesn't look as good to me, or it just doesn't, or fix any spots that look like I don't like how they look. So, and then go around, just kind of check your edge. I'm gonna kind of clean this up. So just running my thing right along the top here. And I'm gonna wipe it back in. You will want to keep on hand your baby wipes. I'm just wiping my hands off now because I was hanging onto the edge, and so I have it all over my hands. This is where you probably should be wearing some gloves. I'm sure this isn't exactly good for your skin, and it does have a warning on there that it's not great for your skin. So let me just grab a couple of those to clean up my hands and my mess here. You could use like the nitrate gloves, or the latex gloves, or non-latex if you have an allergy. If you have a allergy to latex, you could use the non-latex gloves. And then I'm gonna pull my trash off from my area. I just keep like a grocery bag or something next to me and throw my trash in it as I work. I don't like to have a lot of stuff on my desk in my workspace. Okay, so I'm taking a look at this. I'm gonna go ahead and just touch up any spots that, like, I've got clumps. Here's a whole spot that looks like it didn't take the speckling. So let me grab that. Add a little spot there. Going along the top. So I'm just going along that top edge and smoothing that out a little bit. And I see that spot feels really thin to me, like there's not much up there. And I'm going to show you in just a second. I'll tip this so you can see how this looks. And I'm just going to, again, I've got like, it feels a little thin right there. I'm not really sure to tell you exactly how thick or how thin. Basically, you want enough on it that it covers the styrofoam, but you don't want it extra thick because you want this to dry in a reasonable time also. Just go around, just another little spot I missed. And so you'll see that it's, you know, it's not, it takes a little bit, it takes practice, but I think you might find it a lot of fun, actually. It becomes a little addictive. Maybe you don't like it at all. You try this and you're like, oh, that's not fun at all. That's valid. Not everybody loves doing this stuff, but I just started fake baking for myself. I have fake desserts in my curio cabinet and had my kitchen and dining room decorated in that prior to doing this. I used to buy things off from Etsy and pies and cakes and all kinds of things. And I just needed one more thing. I retired from my regular job, early retired. I mean, I'm not at retirement age, but decided I needed a different thing to do. Needed to change of pace, and I had some health stuff going on. And I decided I would try to make my own cake. I'm like, well, that's just silly to start. Why spend money on something so frivolous when I just left my, regular job? It's ridiculous. So I'm like, maybe I could make it. So I kind of went down the YouTube rabbit hole and found the Pink Tree. Dawn Newell. If you have not watched Dawn on the Pink Tree, you are missing out. You definitely need to go check her out. She is amazing, and she was a huge inspiration. Her and Cassie Smallwood, I just did a deep dive and devoured their videos, and I just loved it. So I made my first cake and just I can't even express the joy that I felt. So if something gives you that much joy, you can't stop doing it. Okay, so we have the top of the cake done, and I'm going to tip it that way. I mean, the top's not done, the edge is done. And then see where I just missed a piece hanging down? Okay. So yeah, so there's the top edge. I just got it put in there a little bit. And then now comes for the time to do the top. So I always do my sides first, and then I'm going to take a toothpick, and I like to stick that in the top of my cake, just so I have something to hang on to. I don't usually do that at first. I start out just using my finger. I'm going to mix up my spackle just a little bit. It's been sitting here just a little while, and I think I have enough spackle to go ahead and finish the cake. So I'm going to grab my bigger spatula right now. I'm going to throw some on here, and I'm just going to lop it on. And what I'm doing is I'm pressing it down into that styrofoam. So you want to like press it down into the styrofoam. I'm grabbing that edge. So I don't know if I can show you exactly, but I'm taking some spackle where we did that edge, and I'm pressing it down into there and then pulling it into the center, because I want, that's the other benefit of adding that spackling edge on. Not only does it pull up your side, but it also helps you to pull in and blend in the spackle. So basically I'm just kind of coating it right now, just coating that top layer. Okay, and then we're going to wipe that back in, and I found another one of these little pieces of thing in the spackling. Let's see, I don't know if you can, let's see if you can see that. Let me hold that up here. Oops, there we go. I don't know if that's going to focus or not, but it's just like some little brownish clump under all that. Anyway, we don't want that. We're getting that out of there. Excuse me, I have a cold, and I know I'm sniffing and whatever else, so I apologize for that. So here's where you're not going to be able to hang on to your cake any longer, because it's all speckled. And we're going to want to add some more on here, and I use this as, and I'll move this around and then cover up the hole when I'm done. And this is where it gets a little tricky, because your cake, you can make it so this doesn't move. So you can just, I don't know, put something against it, because this is going to want to move a little bit. Oops, that's too loud and annoying to you guys. Let me grab something else here that might just stop it from moving around. Okay. You can, it's hard to hold this in the cake base and everything else, but you can kind of prep your arm against it. You'll kind of find your own groove for this, but right now I'm just going to now make it look decorated, so it's not just lobbed down there. We want it to look frosted, you know. So you're just gonna, just like you were frosting a real cake, pretend you're making a birthday cake for a loved one, yourself, whoever, and you're just gonna add that frosting. And I want you to notice too how I'm coming right over to the edge, and I'm grabbing into that spackle on the edge and the top and pulling it back with it, so that it all blends in nicely and you look like you have a very nice finished cake. If you notice on any of the edges that it's not grabbing it, just go ahead and, you know, fix your side. It's still nice and wet and pliable. The spackle shouldn't be too terribly dry. And you're just gonna, and I hope you can see this, you're just gonna bring your spackle over and you're gonna grab into it and pull it back, okay? And then pull it in. And that's how I keep it to, and then you might need to like just get rid of this little edge that starts to build up on your side, because you still want your side, and then there's just going to be little spots you got to correct as you go. So, and then just try to get a somewhat even amount of spackling across the top and pulling all your sides. I try to go around all my edges first and make sure that it's pulling. And I just felt a really thin spot right there, I think. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, because if you're frosting a cake at home, birthday cake, I mean, you do the best you can, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I think if it looks too perfect, it's not gonna look real. So, and you see, as I'm doing this, it's kind of pulling around. So that's first what I'm trying to achieve, is to get this all the way around and let it stick. All right, so now I'm going to be doing a little bit more just to make it look how I want it to look on the top. So I've grabbed a little bit more spackling, and then I'm going to pay attention more to my pattern. And you can do this however you want. If whatever method you use or like using as you do this, you're just gonna keep going like this and go around and frost and make it look nice. And you just want it somewhat even, right? I mean, just like you would on a real cake. You just want it to be somewhat even and look nice. And I see where I missed a whole spot. And I'm just gonna blend all of that edge in. So, and that's the other thing. Just kind of keep going around. Look at your edge and make sure it hasn't pulled anything away. It hasn't messed something up that you liked. If you get, I'm gonna see if I can just move the camera up to show you what I'm doing here. So if you get some, and I know that's a little shaky, I'm sorry, because I'm hanging on to it. You're gonna wanna take this out and then smooth that place in where you have your toothpick. You can move your toothpick around as needed. Also, I've kind of gotten to the point that I don't need to do that quite so much. Oops, I'm gonna drop this, sorry. Let me get you back to where we need to be here. I'm so sorry. Okay, because I know that's annoying when it's shaky. And you'll get little air pockets, I guess they're called, or would be called, that they just looks like a little bit of, if you want it smoothed out, just go back over it. Just go back over it until you're happy with how it looks. You might get this done really fast. You might be like me and keep doing it, and I probably don't need to. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. That little spot right there, I'm not loving that. I'm gonna clean up a few spots that I notice on my sides now that I just want it to come on up and blend with my side of my cake a little bit more. Okay, can I go around? Because this edge will build up a little bit, and sometimes it doesn't always look so nice. So I'm going to pull some of that off and then blend it back in. That's like a little bit of... Because exactly how this is put on is exactly how it dries. So whatever pattern of frosting you have, not that you can't sand it a little bit, because you could, but fill in your holes. You can do repairs. White's pretty easy because you're just creating more white. But if you are making this, if you are using making a pink cake or something like that, keep some of your spackle that you originally made, unless you have an exact science as to the color of your cake. It'll never match if you have to do little repairs. Okay, so I think as I look around this, just make sure everything looks how you want it to look. You know, there's always going to be a nicer side, or, you know, sides to your cake. There's always going to be a nicer side, and that's usually the side you'll decorate, unless it's a type of cake that you go all the way around with. And see, that was building up. I'm going to add a little bit more there, just because. Let's see, I gotta hold this. Oops. Now I gotta hold this part. Hold the rotation. Like I said, you can do this stationary, but it's just easier if you have something to turn it, like when you're doing a real cake. Okay, I'm just taking like a look back from here. See, my spackle's starting to harden up a little bit, so it's getting a little bit tougher to move it around. And so you don't want to do that too terribly long, but you can. Okay, now I know this is going to have an edge on it, so I'm not going to worry about the bottom too much. And then we're going to take this, we're going to pull out our toothpick. We don't need that anymore, and I will tell you that I will tear my things into strips so I can use them for extra things. I'm going to wipe off my toothpick. I'll reuse it for another project. No sense to throw it away. You can, but I just like to be frugal. All right, so then we're just going to fix that little spot in the top where we had that hole. Now, honestly, for this cake, because I know what I'm doing with this one, it's going to have something in the middle, and that would never be seen. So if you know you're going to put something in the middle of this cake, like a dollop of something, or, you know, you're putting something up there, it's not going to matter because no one's ever going to see it. But I'm just doing it so you know what it looks like. Okay, so you're going to want to leave your cake to dry. I'd leave it about, probably 24 hours at least before I moved it. The other thing is, that's what I was saying, you can cut squares of cardboard just from boxes, delivery boxes and things like that. Cover that with a piece of wax paper, tape it on the underside, then put your cake on there and tape it on. Now you would do that before you do the top of the cake though. You would want to be able to move it or just decorate it right on that particular thing instead of, you could use the rotating cake decorating table, but you'd have that on top of there instead of just this piece of foil or wax paper as you might want. I'm gonna just go ahead and check that, but that is exactly how you decorate a fake cake. I'm just gonna show you this part of it today, and then for the next steps we will go through how to do the piping around the side, and this is actually going to be a special project for a Christmas cake that I'm gonna make, and I think we're gonna do some kits for that so that you can just kind of watch the steps. And I'm not I charge for the kits. I will charge for the kits, but I won't charge obviously for the tutorials. I want you to be able to get the kit and then follow along. You can do it at your own pace. And you see, I fuss with stuff longer. You don't have to keep fussing with it. It's perfectly fine. I'm just a little bit particular sometimes. So, don't feel you have to fuss with it as much as I am, because it'll be fine either way. And I figured out that I really am a perfectionist, and who notices every little imperfection is generally me, and other people never see the problems that I see. So be gentle and kind with yourself, and don't feel like you're not doing it good enough, or, you know, obviously you want to do a nice job and make it look nice, but also give yourself some grace, because no one is a harsher critic to us than ourselves. So, okay, so with that, I'm just kind of, as I said, fussing with it some more. And I'll probably just give myself more work. Honestly, I'll just have to go back and redo everything again because I was fussing with it more. But I'm happy with it. It's very good. I'm actually going to use my toothpick because I know that this cake, and I'm going to just center it on here. And I actually could then use that and lift it and put it onto something else if I want to remove it from here. I know that this cake is going to have a dollop in the center, so I don't care that there's a hole in it. This won't stick in there particularly. It'll stay, but I'm going to leave it just like that. And then I think I've already showed you clean up before, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Use your baby wipes, clean up your utensils, wipe them off as well as you can. And so that is decorating a fake cake, the base of a fake cake, and then we'll continue on with the next step in the next video. All right, have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much. And like and subscribe if you liked this video. And I'll see you next time.